Well, the season is almost here now at this point, so I wanted to do my a list of the top 7 sort of week 1 storylines. And I don't mean storylines just for week 1, but I mean storylines that week 1 I'm already interested in. So this isn't like the can the Bills get over the hump and win a Super Bowl. I didn't include that because we're not, week 1 we know the Bills are going to be good. These are the things that right when the season starts, I'm checking out, seeing how's this going? What's happening here? These are the things that I'm going to probably be making videos of that Sunday on kickoff week. These are the things I find fascinating. So yeah, let's just jump into it, starting off with number 7. I went to New Look Lions here as that would be a very, very much a new look if they played in New York. No, the Lions, who now have definitely done a lot to help add to their team and hopefully be a real contender next year. A lot of subtle moves. I really loved their free agency. Didn't love their draft, but you know what? They're still got 2 exciting players, really 3 exciting players, because I like Brian Branch, who they got in the second round, maybe better than both of the guys they got in the first round, to be honest. But I think Gibbs could be a, offensive rookie of the year candidate right away, because running backs do hit the ground running, so to speak. Campbell should be very good right away. Branch should be very good right away. A lot of additions in that secondary. There's a chance this New Look Lions could be a great team. But, we still have to see it, so that's why I'm so fascinated by it, and that's why I have him at 7. Number 6, how about Justin Fields in a good spot? He's actually in a good situation right now. When have we seen this where Fields, it's like exciting what's going on around him? Like he's got help. DJ Moore is here. This is fascinating. I actually think that the offense for the Bears, defense is going to be rough, and that still, can hurt the quarterback. He has to throw the ball more, put him in tough situations, sure. But the offense should be actually pretty good next year around him, and so it won't be Fields just trying to make something out of nothing, which was certainly fun in its own way to watch last year. It's kind of, we're going to see, is Fields the next big thing? We're going to really get to find out, and probably right away. So that's why, week 1, I'll be checking out Bears football for sure. Number 5 is the 49ers quarterback situation. I'm assuming it's going to be Brock Purdy. I don't believe it's been officially announced. It could be Trey Lance, or I guess Sam Darnold is there too. What's going to happen there, and can they actually get a quarterback for the first time ever, it feels? Obviously, not first time ever for the 49ers with Joe Montana and Steve Young, but first time in the Shanahan era with the 49ers to really get like a good quarterback. Garoppolo was solid, but, what's going to be the case with the Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy, who came out of nowhere to lead his team nearly to a Super Bowl before getting hurt in the conference championship? They never lost with Brock Purdy. They went undefeated with him at quarterback. And if he's the starter, I'm so fascinated in seeing, can he continue this? Can he continue his, winning ways? Or was it just a fluke? Was it just a, quarterback who happened to get hot at the right time? That could be the difference in the 49ers, being a fringe playoff team versus being a Super Bowl winner, perhaps, is what goes on in that quarterback room. So such a big swing there. That's definitely a huge storyline. And for number 4, it's kind of the same thing. The Russell Wilson thing of, if the Broncos really do have a star quarterback in Russell Wilson, well, then they are a potential Super Bowl contender because of how good that defense was last year. Yeah, this team absolutely could be a quarterback away. The issue is if he plays like he did last year, which was not great. I think that's fair to say. If that happens, then they could be in real trouble. And then perhaps we're looking at the Broncos as a situation no one wants to be in, as a tough organization to be playing for. Could be the case with Russell Wilson because of how big his contract is. So they've done a lot of stuff to try and help him. They added offensive line help. They added Sean Payton, who I think could do a lot of nice things for them. The question is just, will it work, or is he just in fact washed? And if he's washed, then yeah, they're in trouble. So number 4 on this list is, the Broncos and really Russell Wilson and what we have there. Number 3 is Lamar's new weapons. Not so much Lamar himself, but the situation around Lamar and how that could help him. I've had this theory for a while now that I've always felt like the issues that people put on Lamar are really a fault of the way that the Ravens offense is constructed, of not really having great receiver help. We saw in that, famous Dolphins game a couple years back now at this point, where the Dolphins just played cover zero versus Lamar and the Ravens constantly. We saw how that was, that hurt the Ravens and they weren't able to be successful. My theory was always, yes, they took the ball out of Lamar's hands. They forced him to throw the ball quickly, and they didn't have receivers who could take advantage of that. Now they do, or at least on paper they do. I don't know if it'll work out, but if these guys do come in, first off, that's just interesting in its own way of what are we going to see from Odell Beckham Jr. That stuff is fascinating to me. The other side of the coin, and the other thing that I do find fascinating about, this situation with Lamar Jackson is if those guys do come in and they do hit, what would that mean for him? Will he be an MVP candidate again now that he has actual talent? I'm so fascinated by what's going to go on there. Definitely going to check out, every Ravens game I can right away to see what happens. Number 2, I'm going Jordan Love. Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers. I brought him up a good amount, but I really do feel like there's never been more pressure on a rookie quarterback coming into the league than there is on Jordan Love. I think the one guy you could compare him to would be Aaron Rodgers, but I really do feel like Jordan Love is even more intense because you think about what happened with that draft pick. The reality is, if they drafted T. Higgins, who was the next wide receiver taken, I've done this before, but I'll do it again. It's such an interesting thought process. If they drafted T. Higgins, I think they beat Tampa Bay in that conference championship. It was such a close game. They didn't have a great number 2 option in that game. I think T. Higgins would have been enough to win. Now, that doesn't mean they beat Kansas City, but they, given what we know now, they probably would have had a really good chance to beat Kansas City, given Kansas City's injuries. But again, you never know how that works out. But still, so they could have won the Super Bowl that year. Also, the next year against San Francisco, that time they really missed having a number 2 option. If they have T. Higgins, I really do feel like they win that game as well. Doesn't mean they beat the Rams or the Bengals if they continue to win and win that Super Bowl. But it's not crazy to say they could have won multiple Super Bowls if they drafted T. Higgins right there. Not to mention, maybe even potentially more, because then Rodgers isn't leaving and going out of town, because he's like, hey, we just won back-to-back Super Bowls. There's such a sliding doors moment. Again, I'm not saying that would have happened or even probably would have happened, but they probably would have won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers still had they not drafted Love. Now, at the same time, it's all forgiven if Jordan Love is awesome. So that's why it's just so fascinating with Love. It's like if Love is an elite quarterback, well then sure, you maybe could have had a window to win a Super Bowl, but you got a star quarterback. That's a much longer window to win a Super Bowl. Such a fascinating storyline. But not number 1. Number 1, of course, is Rodgers, who, again, gets out of town, says, you know what, I'm done with this. I want to go play somewhere else. Goes to the Jets, who don't seem like they're on paper, it's not that much better of a situation than the Packers was last year on paper. Didn't work out as well as it looked on paper for the Packers, and we'll see how Rodgers does. But to me, what's almost more fascinating is it's less about the on the field stuff, although I'm certainly fascinated in that. Usually I don't really care about the off the field stuff and the media stuff, but we know how the New York media is, and if they don't get off to a hot start, how is Rodgers going to handle it? Rodgers, best rivalry in sports right now is Aaron Rodgers versus the media, so going to the New York media, that's interesting to me as well. It really is. So yeah, those are my 7 biggest storylines. The New York I said it again. The New Look Lions, not New York Lions, still Detroit, have Fields in a good spot. 49ers quarterbacks, a new Russ ? Lamar's new weapons, Jordan Love, and finally Aaron Rodgers. What do you think are some of the biggest storylines? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.